Hello everybody, it's Sarah, and I have finally gotten around to sitting down to film the video about all of my unfinished series, or the unfinished series that I had at the beginning of the year. And yeah, you can't see, I mean you can kind of see that I have a massive stack of books right here next to me. And usually I like to have these videos quite, organized. So I'll start with my DNFs, then I'll continue on to series that I am in the middle of, and I'll end with the series that I'm caught up on. And usually, even within these categories, I sort them by, series that I DNF'd previously to the year that I'm talking about, and then within the year that I'm talking about. Well, we're not gonna do it like that. Because I just put all the series on a stack next to me because I have so much to do currently that, to be honest, even just sorting the books is a little bit overwhelming right now. Also, I realized I have a second problem where previously to this year there were a lot of, most of the series that I would be talking about would be on my shelves. This year I got a lot of arcs, so I started a lot of series via arcs. I'm not necessarily, or I don't necessarily intend to, pick up physical copies for all of these arcs, even though I might intend to continue on with the series. And then I also got a lot of series from the library, and those are also series that I intend to continue on with, but that I don't intend to get physical copies for. So yeah, we're gonna, contrary to the finished series that I have, we're gonna include series that I don't currently have on my shelves right now. We're gonna include all the series that I'm currently in the middle of that I still intend on finishing, and we're gonna be talking about, what's the last thing? Yeah, all the DNFs that I had during the year, even if I unhauled the books already. So let's get started. So as you can probably tell from the light, we'll start with the series that I do not physically have, so I can then put my laptop to the side. I will not even put up pictures for all those series. I will just very quickly go through these. First, I have the Victorian Fairy Tales by Olivia Atwater. I am caught up to the series. There's currently one book out, and I had that as an arc. Then I have The Bold by Elżbieta Czeresinska with the first book, which was Widow Queen, which I read last year, so 2022, the year before last. That one is currently at Scylla's place, so I lent it to her. This one is an ongoing series, and I am not caught up because of that. Then we have The Ouroboros by H.E. Edgmon, which I read the first book in, which I think was Godly Heathens, just in December or November. I will not be continuing on with this series, so this one was a DNF, but the second book would be Merciless Saviors. Then we have the Bloodsworn series by John Gwynne, which I am not caught up on. I haven't read Hunger of the Gods, which is the second book, but I unhauled the first book when I moved. We have Howl's Moving Castle, which currently still is a DNF for me, by Diana Wynne Jones. But I don't know, I've kind of felt like giving it another try. This one, however, is still at my dad's place because I gave it to him for my little sister, but she's never started it, so, I'm gonna have to get it back at some point. Then we have The Last Binding by Freya Maske. I read the first two books in a series, have not gotten to the third one yet, which is A Power Unbound. I do still intend to finish this series because this is the last book in the trilogy. However, I'm waiting for my library to get a copy of it. Then we have Warbreaker, which is a DNF. I'm not gonna be continuing on with the series. I am not, in fact, continuing on with most of Sanderson series. You'll get the, exemptions from that in a bit. One of the exemptions I'll actually get to next, which is the Skyward series. I will still read the fourth book, Defiant. However, I'm also waiting for my library to get that in. I did unhaul the entire series. Then I do actually have a physical copy, but it's over there. I forgot to put it down, and I'm not sure if this is going to be a series, in fact, or not. It's one of those things where it's kind of is it gonna be a series or not? But Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, which I read the first book, and there was a second book announced at some point, but it's very unclear when it'll ever come out. Then we have one of my favorite books of this year, or one of my favorite new series of this year, The Forever Desert by Moses Osa Utomi. I read the first book last year as an ARC. I ordered it. It hasn't arrived yet. The first book was The Lies of the Achungo, and the next book I already have an ARC for is The Truth of the Aleki, and I am so excited for this one. Then I have The Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells, which I read the first book of. I'm probably gonna continue on with this series. I do not have an intention of DNFing it right now, but yeah, we'll see when I'll get to it. Then we have the Wilderwood series by Hannah Witten. I read the first book. I haven't yet read the second book, but I do still intend to read the second book. And I think that's it for the series that I don't have physical copies on. So now let's continue on with the series that I do have physical copies on, and I'll just, as I said, I'll very randomly grab these. I'll tell you if it's like a series that I read or caught up to this year, or if it's a series that I've been reading for a longer time. Same with DNFs, and I'll tell you the status that I have with the series. So let's start with the book on the very top. This one is Starlight Jewel, which is The Gifts of the Old Tree, book 1 by E.L. Lyons. This is a self-pub book that was sent to me by the author, and I do intend to continue on with this series. This came out only this year, I believe. So I am caught up on this one, and I read it in 2023. A series I'm no longer caught up on is The Five Queendoms by G.R. McAllister. I'm actually not quite sure. I might have on my new spreadsheet for 2024 already have set this to DNF. So I'm not sure if I want to continue on with the series. I read this a few years ago. Yeah, there was a second book at least so far. I'm not quite sure if that series is finished or not already though. Then I have first book, and with this first book I'm already caught up to the series because it's only this one that's out so far, and that is Outlaw Mage by K.S. Veloso. This is an ARC that I got this year, and I do intend to continue on with this series. Next I have a long time DNF, and that is The Discworld by Terry Pratchett. This series just isn't for me. However, I have this like really pretty edition of Mort, so I kept Mort. And by the way, with DNF for the Discworld, that's for any of the series within the Discworld. I started 2 of them, I think the Rincewind and then the Mort series. Then we have The Gale Song by Shauna Lawless. I read the first 2 books in this series, and I definitely intend to finish the 3rd book once it comes out. I read both of these books this year. Series I'm in the middle of since I read this book the year before last year. By the way, if I say last year, usually I mean 2022, but I read this first book 2022, is The Green Rider by Kristen Britton. I do already have the second book as a physical copy, however. A series I started this year and I'm caught up to is the Redwood Chronicles by Ed McDonald. I read the first book, Daughter of Red Winter, and had the second book, which is, I forgot what it was called, as an ARC, and I definitely intend to continue on with this series. Also because these books are slightly shorter actually for fantasy books especially. Then we of course have a series that I have on my caught up on pile for almost a decade now, and that's the Song of Ice and Fire series by George R. Martin. A series that I will hopefully finish this year because the last book is coming out this year is Between Earth and Sky by Rebecca Roanhorse. I read both of the first books. Another series that I will hopefully finish this year because the last book is coming out this year is the, what's it called? The Lotus Empire? No, The Burning Kingdoms. I think the new book is called The Lotus Empire, that's why I had that name. But I read the first 2 books in The Burning Kingdoms by Tasha Sudi. The 3rd book is coming out this year, so hopefully next year you'll find it. You'll find it on my finished series list for actually this year. Does it make sense? I hope it makes sense. A series I will hopefully finish quite soon is the Dandelion Dynasty because I am currently reading book 4, The Speaking Bones. This is by Ken Liu. Another series I'm in the middle of is The Legends of the Condor Heroes by Jin Young. I am halfway through this series, so I have read 2 out of 4 books. However, I only own the first one. A series I am caught up on, and that I will probably now be caught up on for a while, is the Iron Widow series by Xiran Jay Zhao. We recently got the news by them that their publisher are kind of fucking them over right now, but yeah, read it this year, so now I'm caught up to it. This year, I mean in 2023. Continuing on is a series that I don't actually own, but I do currently have a physical copy for, and that is the Glimmer Falls series by Sarah Hawley. I am not caught up to this, however, I do right now have the second book as well, because I've borrowed the first 2 books in this series from a colleague. Then another DNF is Elantris. I will not be continuing on with most of Sanderson's series. The only series that's left that I will continue on with, aside from reading the last book in the Skyward series, is the Stormlight Archive. I will read the 5th book, so the last book in the first arc of the Stormlight Archive, when it comes out this year. But yeah, that will probably be my last Sanderson book that I will read, hopefully. A series I'm caught up on is The Band by Nicholas Ames, which is kind of a series of companion novels following different adventurous bands in this world. I read the first 2 books, but the second book is at Scylla's place right now. Another series I'm caught up on is the Fall of Magic series by Val Neal. I read the first 2 books, and I am very excited for book 3. Although it will be more than 3 books. I believe this series is gonna be 6 books in total. A series I am not caught up on, and where I actually need to decide how I'm gonna handle things, is The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. I read the first 3 books. I still have to read book 4, which is Inheritance, and I'm gonna need to decide if I count Murtagh as part of the series or as, you know, a new one. A book where I haven't gotten to the sequel yet, even though it has been published like a few months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, is the, The Nameless Republic by Suyi Davis Okungbowa. I do want to get to the second book, which is Warrior of the Wind, just haven't found the time yet, and I also don't own it yet. Let's pick up a few series where the first book was published in 2023, and since the sequels haven't come out yet, I'm still caught up. First I have Godkiller by Hannah Kana, and then I also have the Al-Maqsa duology, or the first book being The Daughter of Istihar by Hadir El-Sbai. A series I'm caught up on and will hopefully finish. I think this year is the year when book 3 is supposed to come out. At least I think we're supposed to get a cover reveal sometime soonish. But Magic of the Lost by C.L. Clarke. A series where I'm embarrassed that I'm currently not caught up or not done with the series, because the new book came out this year and I just haven't picked it up so far, is The Black Jewels by Anne Bishop. Another book where a sequel came out this year that I haven't picked up yet is Knochen Blumen Welten nicht by Eleanor Badilac. Yeah, need to get to the sequel. A book where only the first book is out so far, so I am caught up on this series, is the Tales of Tremaine, I believe the series is called, by R.R. Virdi, with the first book, The First Binding. Obviously, also since about a decade, I am caught up on the Kingkiller Chronicles. Not caught up on the Anita Blake series by Laurel K. Hamilton. I have not been caught up at the beginning of the year, however I am caught up by now to the, I think this is called The Ending Fire, a series by Sara El Arifi. There's 2 books, by the way, but I forgot to take the other book off my TBR card where I put all the books that I read in that month, so it's over there. You're gonna be happy with just the first one. Not caught up on, but it doesn't seem like it's gonna matter for a pretty long time, on the, the Ninth House, no, not Ninth House, Locked Tomb series by Tamsin Muir. I have been caught up for a few years now on the, the series, the Elder Scrolls, I think, Eldest Curses series by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. And speaking of Wesley Chu, I am not caught up on the War Art Saga by Wesley Chu. The second book is out already, however, I do not want to get a physical copy of the second book, so I'll see if I can get it from my library or somewhere. I am caught up because I think it might have been pushed back again, possibly, on the... Is this called the Sansi? Yeah, the Sansi trilogy by Chelsea Abdullah. The second book was supposed to come out in autumn, but then it already got pushed back pretty early, and right now I'm not sure when it's supposed to be published, the second book. I am not caught up on the Dark Star trilogy by Marlon James. However, I do already have the second book, which is Moon Witch Spider King, and I will try to get to this in February. A series that's a DNF, but where I still own the first book, is the Myth and Magic series. I believe it's called the Myth and Magic series by Carrie Arthur. Another series where I've only read the first book so far, even though the second book is already out and I own it, is The Songs of Penelope. I do already own The House of Odysseus, and the third book is supposed to come out this year. So I don't know yet if I'll just wait with this one until the third one comes out and then just binge both of them, or if I'll try to read the second book first. Who knows? We'll see what the year will bring. And also same deal with The Roots of Chaos, I believe this series is called. I have read The Priory of the Orange Tree and I do own A Day of Fallen Night, but I haven't gotten to it yet. A series where I'm not sure if I should count it as a series, but it's handled as a series almost on all reading social media, is the Qin universe, Master of Qin, that whole deal. I don't think necessarily that a sequel is planned, but there's a bunch of short stories in that universe, so yeah, I don't know. I read the short stories. I don't know if I should count this as caught up. Should I even count it as a series? Leave your thoughts on that down below, actually. A series I'm in the middle of is the Shadowfell series by Juliet Marley. I do already own book 3, however, I still need to find book 2 used somewhere, hopefully used. By the way, if you're wondering why I look more of a mess in this video than I usually do, it's because it's currently 9 in the evening and I was too lazy to do all my makeup new and everything. So frankly speaking, right now I am not quite sure, my camera just turned off, if it got all the series, so I'll just repeat the last 2. And that is, first of all, I of course have read all the books in the Singing Hill series, because why wouldn't I? It's Nivo. I will try to get to her books as soon as possible in any time. And also a series that I'm caught up on, because the first book was only published this year, is the Nampe Shiwei Sit series by Monique Black Goose. Then another deal of read the first book, own the second book already, however the entire series is published already, is the Blackthorn and Grimm novels by Juliet Marley. However, I only got the second book quite recently. And hopefully I'll get to it soon, because I actually have a really easy time reading Juliet Marley. Her books generally are very fast reads for me. A series I've been in the middle of for ages is the Study series by Maria V. Snyder. I've only read the first book, Magic Study. Some more, read the first book, own the second book. Got the second book quite recently. I actually currently do not have a physical copy of the first book, because that's also with Scylla, but the second book I do have a physical copy. The series is The Dark Gods by Tara Sim. The first book was City of Dusk. See, it says it here. And the second book is Midnight Kingdom. I will try to get to this quite soon. Read and start and DNF of this series this year, and that is the Mistland series by Kian and Ardalan. A long-time DNF has been the Robert Langdon series by Dan Brown. And then lastly, let's see if I can get all the books over here, even if they're in the wrong order. Lastly, a series that is an unexpected entry on this list and no longer on the finished list. Also, to be honest, unexpected, because I didn't think it'd take me so long to reread this series and get to the new book. But the Inkheart series by Cornelia Funke, and obviously I do already own the new book. So that was it for all the series that are currently unfinished on my shelves, be it because they're DNFs, be it, or also not on my shelves, be it because they're DNFs, be it because I'm caught up to them and the most recent book just hasn't come out yet, or be it because I wasn't diligent enough to keep up with them. And so tell me in the comments down below, do you sometimes feel overwhelmed with all the series that are unfinished on your shelves? If you enjoyed this video, maybe think about giving me a thumbs up and also maybe subscribing. All the links to my social media as well as to my book club of Queens, Witches and Valkyries will be left linked down below, so go and check those out, and I hope I'll see you very soon. Bye!